What's up, guys? Second episode of Blizz Logic. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about mages this time. So, in vanilla, basically what vanilla means is when there was no expansions for anyone that didn't know. I thought that'd be a nice thing to add in. So in vanilla, basically mages were probably the best PvP class, but a lot of people didn't really understand them very well. There was like some really good people. I think there was a guy that went by the name of Vertney, which would be able to 3v1 rogues and stuff like that, or you kill like a warrior and a rogue on his own and stuff like that. But basically, he was, a lot of people was like, rogues are the best, and rogues really were. They did so much damage and they were so easy to play it for what you needed to do. You died pretty fast, but you'd also kill people really fast. And, but mages could counter them completely if you played them right. But you would die if they ever got to you, kind of thing. And, that concept where you would be trying to do a lot of damage to them or whatever without dying by using Frost Nova at the right time and whatever else, moved on, and they took that into TBC, where basically they moved around the idea of you doing a Shatter combo, which was you casting your Frostbolt and you using your Water Elemental to land the Frost Nova, and you would land it just as the Frostbolt was about to hit, and you Ice Lance at the same time. So you cast in your Frostbolt, you hit Ice Lance on the end of it, and your Water Elemental at the same time, and it would all land and do big damage. And you needed to do that because otherwise they could remove the roots from themselves and whatever else. And they took that concept and they moved that on to be, their concept for Wrath of the Lich King. And basically what that was is to land a Deep Freeze. So you would Water Elemental and then Deep Freeze at the same time, or you could Frost Nova and then do it or whatever. But you could still, the person would still disbow themselves normally. And so you'd land this Shatter combo mechanic, but obviously it would be doubled in the amount of time because of Deep Freeze. So it would basically be like a stupidly big amount of damage. But this was still 30% crit base from Shatter, which was a talent that mages used to get. And then you'd have maybe 20% crit from normal. So you'd be at 50%. That was it. 50%, right? Remember that. 50% crit. That's like a lot, right? Basically, at the time, rogues would get 30% from all their gear and everything like that. And that was it. That was the highest anyone else had, right? At all. Even on any secret spell or whatever. But then, obviously, as they moved into Wrath of the Lich King, things went a bit crazier or whatever. Some classes got, they had 100% chance to crit on one spell. But that was only it. And I think that was DKs. They got a Killing Machine proc or something like that. And it would be, one spell would be always crit, like 100% chance. And then they moved it into Cataclysm, and basically they changed how the scaling would work. So basically you had the current setup of, it'd be 30% crit, but they was like, we want it to scale with gear, right? So basically, earlier the expansion, it was kind of crappy, but, it was alright. It was probably about, 40% maybe crit, or whatever, maybe 50% on Shatter. But late into the expansion, it was like, we're getting really high numbers on it, so sort of like 70-80% chance to crit when somebody's frozen. Now, you move on to Mists of Pandaria, and it's 100% chance to crit when you're in a Deep Freeze. This is why so much damage comes out. The procs are ridiculous anyway, but also, they added in Mastery somewhere in the middle of there, and that's what basically where all the damage comes from as well. 40% increase on frozen targets. Now, mages have always been about a lot of control and not a lot of damage, and you being able to do damage in these small windows. Those windows don't exist anymore. You do damage all the time because you go Frozen Orb. Oh, look, I've done a load of damage, and then Deep Freeze a load more damage, and then, it's not long until my Frozen Orb comes back up. And if that doesn't help, I'll just never Tempest and get a load of procs for instant Ice Lances for 70k. And it's like, what? That's not fair. Yeah, that's fine though, because this is Blizz Logic, remember. And you might be like, where are you going with this? There's no big finisher for this. And I'm just gonna be like, alright, was it 5.1 or 5.2? I think it was 5.1, right? And between 5.1 and 5.2, they kept saying the changes for 5.2. And they're like, right, here's a plan for mages. We're going to nerf mages burst in PvP because it's too high. In PvE, they're also the top damage, so it doesn't matter too much us doing this, whatever. But they're shit in AoE fights, right? And they're still pretty shit now. And I think they're buffing some stuff to do with how their AoE works and whatever else, right? Their damage is too high, right? In PvP. So they say, what we're going to do is we're going to make Deep Freeze break when you cast into it. And we're also going to nerf Counter Spell because then that'll stop, the healers will be able to actually heal them because Burst is effective of whether, as something goes off. And Okay, so that makes sense to me. I think everyone that agrees that's a good, set of changes, whatever. But like a lot of mages cried out about this. It was like, this is going to make us not viable. Can you nerf something else, kind of thing? Because basically they still needed to do damage during a deep. But basically what it was is they was doing too much damage in that deep, which was what was causing the crazy amount of damage anyway. Because you could basically solo someone as a mage, and you still can now, which might be showing off my point a little bit. But basically what they did was they said, alright, we'll revert the nerfs, right? We'll revert the nerfs. Okay, so you're going to put in some other ones. Now, we're not even going to bother that. We don't even give two flying fucks. You can all have a little joke with yourselves about this, because what we're going to do, instead of fucking nerfing you, is we're going to buff Frostbolt. Fuck you guys! Yeah! Frostbolt buffs! Yeah! They basically, what they did was like, yeah, we'll take your, it's like the bin man's coming around, guys, right? And they're gonna take up your rubbish for you, right? And instead of taking it to the dump like you expect them to, because, that's where the rubbish belongs, instead we're just gonna open your front door and chuck it inside. Fuck yeah! That's where you want your rubbish, right there! They just took a giant dump on the whole fucking community. They admitted Mages was overpowered, right? Do they do anything about it? Because me and you are in the same spot right now. Did they actually do anything about it other than buff mages, right? Here's some other crazy, stupid shit that you might want to know about. They gave mages another damage increase cooldown, right? So they already have mirror images, right? They have frozen orb, right? So that's 2. We're counting 2. So mirror images, frozen orb, and then, alter time, which they added in, right? Fucking icy veins. Right, why did they need, right, deep freeze, which you might say, oh, it's not a damage cooldown. In PvP, it fucking is. So, why the fuck did they add in that extra one? This is just stupid, retard crap. Like, why did they do that? It's just no sense. Like, who at Blizzard is thinking these things through? Like, the mage designer must be so crap at the game. Like, you might be like, oh, no, he can't be. It's like, seriously, everyone in the Blizz team must be really shit at mages. And they're like, you know what, we gotta buff them some more, because none of us can play the class. Because, obviously, they really buffs on this class. Like, seriously, the best class in the game right now, people say, is Shadow Priest, right? As a class, Shadow Priest isn't the best class in the game right now, right? It's actually mages. The thing that is good about Shadow Priest is their synergy with other people. Shadow Priest might have good damage, right? But it's like, basically, where there's so much burst, and a lot of people might not understand this, but Shadow Priests aren't great, because, like, it's just they're good at countering burst, right? Because they have powered shield they can chuck on someone, instant cast, like, basically a massive heal. You can prayer mending as well, also another big amount of healing on someone, and then if the person actually does get low enough to die, they can life swap, and then, they're full health again, or, in theory, like, they've given them another chance to live, and they obviously took the debt on themselves, and they can get topped or whatever, and it's easier to heal somebody that's not being focused at that time, and also the Shadow Priest can be positioned to line of sight himself and heal himself up himself. So, the comparing of the classes are, basically, what we're saying is, the Shadow Priest and the Mage, right? The Mage is better, but the Shadow Priest is better because of the current situation of PvP. Right? A mage can solo someone a Shadow Priest can't, normally. And that's where the fundamental thing is. It's like, I believe mages are better, right? And as soon as they fix some of the burst, which they aren't planning to do as far as I know, although they are going to buff resilience so you get about 5% more, which will be nice, but I don't know if 5% is enough. I think probably something like about 10%, maybe 20% damage reduction for everyone, just flat. That's like how much they need to just add on to everyone, because the damage is crazy. But we're probably not going to see that. So yeah, I just thought that was really funny logic on Blizzard's end. Like, just, we're going to nerf the class. We admit that they are overpowered. Do you know what? Instead, we're going to buff them. Yeah! Woohoo! Like, no, like, why did you do that? Just, why? Like, seriously, there's no nerfs to mages planned. Why? They know they're overpowered. They've admitted to it. 5.3, have you seen any big nerfs to mages, like, planned? Like, where it is, the 30% damage reduction on all of their stuff bar Frostbolt. Because I haven't seen it, and I know that you haven't seen it, like, so where is that, like, damage nerf? Like, or, fair enough if you don't want to do that, change their mastery to not be affected by frozen targets, because that does not help in PvE. Like, yeah, I know, like, what it should be is, like, increases your damage to Fingers of Frost. And then, you know, Deep Freeze isn't a crazy damage cooldown as much as it was. And then, you know, we might be feeling a bit safer, because you have to trinket every Deep Freeze. Like, if your healer is CC'd, which he will be because they're going to palm sheep him, you have to trinket Deep Freeze. And then on the next Deep Freeze, you're dead. You are 100% dead. Unless you pop cooldowns before, like, or your other partner can CC the Mage before he can do any damage into you. But most of the damage is instant, so he basically has to use a CC just as he lands Deep Freeze. Because he's going to, like, pop 1 or 2 into you, or, you know, bits of damage. And you're going to die. Like, you are going to die. Like, there are very, very few classes that can survive it. Unless you have some way of using the defensive ability on yourself during a stun, then you're gonna be dead. Like, you know, it's just, you're flat out dead. It's kind of silly. You kind of have to, you know, try and be on the Mage. Like, this is your options. Go on the Mage to try and stop his damage, but he's also going to gain about 40% increased damage by you going on him, because he has an absorb thing that basically increases damage by 40%. Who thought that that was another... Oh, wait, that was another damage cooldown I forgot to add in on the list of millions of damage cooldowns that mages obviously need. Like, why are they allowing damage stacking cooldowns? Like, why do they... Like, it doesn't make sense, because it's basically one of the main problems right now is, like, the damage stacking cooldowns. Like, this is another thing as well. Like, why do they... Blizzard... This is a completely different topic, but I do not care. This is Blizz Logic, so their logic is retarded, so this whole thing is retarded. So this is what we're going to talk about now, right? In 5.1, DKs are screaming like mad, saying, we are dying too easily, right? We are dying so fast that this is not even funny, we cannot live. Same as Rogues, to be honest. Rogues is the same, right? And they both sat in the same situation. We are dying too fast. Our damage is fine. The damage is okay, right? We do not need a damage buff. We need survivability buffs. Can we have them, please? Blizzard's reply is like, we're gonna give you damage. So much damage that you kill the person before you die. Yeah? That's good, isn't it? Like, you know, like, they turn you into, instead of, you know, a sword fight, they're gonna have you have guns. So it's like, whoever shoots first wins kind of thing. How is that? Why are they making so many classes glass cannons? Like, give the damage reduction that you need, like, flat damage reduction to everyone. Like, seriously, fucking monks are sat on none, and you wait till next patch, because shamans just got 10%, right? And they nerfed, they gave warriors theirs back, or whatever, you know, like, so they can sit it, their battle stance has flat 10% for some reason. Monks are the only class in the game without some form of damage reduction they can always have on. Feint is 50%, but it costs, like, energy and stuff like that, and other people say, oh, that doesn't count. It does, though, because you can always have it up if you want to. It just means it's costing you a lot of stuff. And it is, like, a good payoff, though, because, you know, 50% is a big number if you haven't realized that yet. So we're just gonna look at it like that. And, oh my god. So yeah, they have this DK problem, and same with rogues. It's like too much damage going into them, and instead they buff them, right? Now, rogues are getting a little bit of a damage nerf or whatever, but, you know, they gave some really crazy utility as well last patch, so we're just gonna stick to the DK thing, right? Next patch, what they're gonna do is, like, so that all of them sit in blood presence because they die outside of it right now, and, you know, they can't, you know, basically, what they're going to do instead is they're trying to encourage you to go into your other stances. So they're nerfing what you can do in blood presence. So they like you being able to be retarded damage. That's what they want you to do. And, you know, even though that damage is too, you know, everyone's like, at the moment, everyone's moaning about damage being too high. And Blizzard obviously does not give two flying fucks. And, because they want you to, you know, the games to be faster, I guess, but that's not the case. That to be able to get the games to be faster, you need to have a lot less buttons. You know, but everyone wants to die slower, and Blizzard wants you to die faster, and Blizzard's way around that is to just force you to go into other stances. So basically, DKs are moaning about damage reduction. They're sitting in blood presence, so they buff their damage, so they sit in blood presence still. And to get you out of the blood presence, they force you to have to, they not allow you to use runic power. Well, you don't get benefits for, like, I think it's only in Holy, and they're buffing frost damage again, like, to get you to go back to frost, because everyone likes to play in Holy. You know, all the skilled players play in Holy, but they want Frost to be more viable. So they buff the damage on Frost. So it's sort of like BM right now, where it's like everyone likes to play MM, but BM, you know, is the more viable one because it does the most damage. And on top of it doing the most damage, it also has a trinket. Like, Blizzard doesn't understand how people see things, right? People see things as, like, we want to be able to get out of the most CC possible, and we want to take as little damage as possible while also doing quite a lot of damage, right? That's people's aims for most classes. And there's some people that play warriors, and they also just want to pop all of their buttons and Swifty one-shot macro. You know, they are just following Swifty steps. Like, we're going to agree on this. Yeah, I'm going to probably get a load of Swifty fans saying, like, that's not the case. But, you know, he's basically the macro for popping all of your buttons at once is named Swifty macro. You know, the Swifty one-shot macro. He's well known for his Swifty one-shot macro. So, you're going to have to agree with me that that's what Swifty does. Like, he's always done it. That's his thing. And so, Blizzard are promoting that for warriors. Like, warriors moan for, like, oh, we want damage reduction or whatever. We like our utility. Please don't get rid of it. Just nerf our damage, because that's the thing that everyone's moaning about. No, we're just going to nerf it. Fuck you. Just fuck you. Like, straight up, like, if Blizzard actually had to say what they was thinking, they would be saying, fuck you, we don't even care what you think. Even if the whole community agrees, we do not care, because this is Blizz Logic. Fuck yeah. No, dying too quick. We're gonna buff your damage. Woo! Damage buff, baby. Who's thinking this is a okay idea? Oh my god. Seriously. What the hell? It's sort of like retarded. Oh my god. It's sort of like, right? It's sort of like this, right? It's sort of like Blizzard is saying, right? You know, you're like, it's sort of like you're like, there's, I'm eating too much food, right? I'm eating too much food. And Blizzard's way, instead of saying, like, you know what, we'll stop making you eat so much food, they're like, okay, well, we'll just make you eat more water as well. Like, eat more water? What am I like? Drink more water. How is that gonna fix the fucking eating problem? It's not gonna fix the eating problem, Blizzard. Right? If damage is too high, nerf the fucking damage. Making a fat person drink more water is not gonna make them skinny. Oh my god. Right? What makes them skinny is you fucking nerfing the amount of food that goes in. So the damage that goes in, right? So you either nerf the amount of damage that goes in, or you reduce the amount they can possibly eat. So you reduce the damage, you know, give them more damage reduction. One of those two things, right? There's a few classes right now that are doing too much damage, right? Too much. And it might be on a certain move or certain abilities they're using at certain times, but they are doing too much damage. It's normally, right, roughly for as far as I can see, it's Stampede doing a lot of damage, and it's not to all classes, but it's to a lot of classes. They pop Stampede and they pop some other buttons with it, and they do a lot of damage. It's like Bestial Wrath and whatever else, you know, the BM cooldowns. Every hunter knows their fucking cooldowns, you know what I'm on about. And that is too much damage, because you, like, and similar stuff with, like, just mages doing damage into Frozen Orb with Frost Bomb or whatever else they want. You know, if they want to use Never Tempest, it doesn't really change much apart from they can't sheep as well. But, you know, just popping Ice Lances into them and stuff from procs off Frozen Orb afterwards. With Brain Freeze as well, and the 40% increased damage when they take any damage, pretty much. That just adds up so fast, really. Just, you know, mages tend to be, like, Shadow Priests are pretty strong, but you can, like, it's debatable, because it's like Devouring Plague. It's like, if you sit on them, it's so hard to stack up, so you can sit on them and reduce their damage by, like, stupid amounts. Mostly because they can't get their dots up and whatever. And, I don't know, warriors during their cooldowns, ridiculous damage. They might take too much damage right now, but when you buff them back up to have that damage reduction, you should nerf their damage and give their utility back. Like, I do not mind getting silenced, but I do not mind getting hit for, you know, globals, basically, during their cooldowns. Like, they just, you know, stun you with Shockwave, and then they hit you twice or whatever with 2 moves, and that's all your health gone. And it's like, how is that fair? Like, it's all like 5-minute cooldowns and shit as well, like Skull Banner and Recklessness and whatever else. It's all the fucking ridiculously long cooldowns Like, they are really long. Like, you do not... It's like, you shouldn't be allowed to pop big cooldowns altogether. And I think everyone should have that as a thing. Like, if one cooldown is up, then that's it. You're allowed one cooldown up at a time. If it's PvP only, I don't care. If it's PvE, if they want to add it into PvE as well, whatever. But only allowed to have one cooldown up at a time. You can have your trinket as well, but only one cooldown at a time. And then that cooldown... So then the cooldown stacking thing does not mean you one-shot someone. You do maybe 10% or 20% increase damage. Maybe 30%. But not 30 plus 30 plus 30. Because that does not... it's normally even ends up more than that. Because they're different things. So like one will increase your strength by 30%. And one increases your crit by 30%. So you do double damage because you're critting more. Or whatever. Or it increases your amount you crit by. And then that makes your damage go up ridiculous amounts. It's just stupid. I don't know what Blizz's logic like. Like, I can't understand Blizz's logic. And I wish what they did was say, here's what we want this class to be like. And then make that class like that. Right? So it's like, I wouldn't mind if like mages, if they're like about control and damage, then okay, make them about control and damage. But make them take so much damage that they can never do their damage unless they play perfectly. Because then I wouldn't mind, right? They have to play perfectly, though. Because it's like the same as like Destrolox right now. They have quite good control. Not a lot, though. But they have pretty good defensives. But the thing that Destrolox are good at is damage. So they have good defensives and good damage. And then that's how they play. And they have like okay-ish control, right? But if you sit on them, their damage goes down a lot. But they are good at taking damage, kind of in a way. They can just exchange their damage for ridiculous healing as far as it goes. Like, they have to glyph for it and stuff sometimes. But most, you have your choices, so... But they are pretty good at that. Like, that, I think Destrolox are, like, a balanced thing. Like, they can get off these big numbers, but they need to get peels and stuff to be able to set up these big numbers. But when they do, the rewards are there. They know they are doing so much damage. They don't ever have troubles getting a kill as long as they have space to get the kill. And, I feel like they're a balanced class. Like, I just feel like they sit in a good place. And I think Destrolox should be what Blizz balance everything around, like, because most everything's I feel like are either underpowered or overpowered. Like, Enhancement Shamans probably next patch will probably be in a good place. Ellie Shamans next patch probably be in a good place as well. But Hunters just really, really too, like, in certain times are just too strong. I think a 1 minute cooldown is way too strong. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Who do you think's overpowered and underpowered in the comments below? Maybe I'll make it part of next Blizz Logic. Maybe you'll appear in Blizz Let's Chat if not. And just let me know, and I'll see you again soon. That was just my little rant. I feel really hot now, so that's the thing. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your day, and don't forget to eat some cookies. Bye.